When you think of sports, you don't necessarily think of IBM, but as it turns out, you really should. Noah Sykin is the Vice President of IBM Sports and Entertainment Partnerships. He joins us to explain his company's involvement in the world of sports. Welcome.
Thanks, Elsa. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you here. So can you tell us what IBM is doing with technology when it comes to sports?
Sure. So sporting events are just like businesses. Many businesses have clients, sporting events have fans, but they have the same needs to actually deliver great content, tell good stories, deliver value. And so we work with sports organizations to actually do all of that. And we do that through the lens of data, helping sports organizations understand that the data they have to work with and how it can be leveraged, to tell the stories of the tournament or of the game, and how it can actually help fans, players, coaches, and the entire ecosystem.
You're right, because these days everyone talks about that fan experience. So what are the technologies that are changing just the way that fans are interacting with sports, and what is the end result?
Sure. So increasingly, we're using artificial intelligence to bring these stories to life. And so, for example, at the US Open, which is happening right now, we bring artificial intelligence to life through the world of highlight clipping. People may not have ever thought of this, but the crowd cheer at a game or at an event like the US Open gives us a signal. A player's gesture, a smile, a frown, or a fist pump says something about their position in the game. And we've taught the artificial intelligence what a break point is, what an ace is, really the game of tennis. And so we bring all of that together and actually score each point of a match to make sure that we're presenting, or the US Open is presenting, the most compelling points to fans around the world as quickly as possible.
Wow, really interesting. So you talked about the US Open. Are there any upcoming sporting events outside of that IBM will be partnering with where fans can experience this groundbreaking tech?
Sure. So we are on the edge of fantasy football season, or football season, and we've been working with ESPN to bring Watson, IBM's artificial intelligence, into the ESPN fantasy football application. And so for every single player, we've looked at thousands, actually millions of sources of information, and every single night we go out and look at over 3,000 sources of information to give great projections and predictions to fantasy football players who use the ESPN fantasy football app. We can help them understand what players might boom or what players might bust. And that's a great tool for decision making for fantasy football players.
Oh my goodness, my uncles are going to go crazy with this technology. I thought they were nuts with fantasy football already, and this is definitely going to seal the deal. So what's next for the future of sports and technology, just in general?
Sure. So increasingly we're seeing coaches and players really want to tap into these same type of capabilities. Coaches spend a lot of time in front of video watching their players, and they actually need to be out there coaching their players. And so we're using artificial intelligence to analyze, again, in the world of tennis, the players' performance as they train. We're actually calculating new dimensions in the world of tennis, things like physiological load and mechanical load, how much energy a player uses to accelerate, decelerate, start, and stop. And then we're correlating that to their actual performance on the court and finding out what their sweet spot is to perform at their best. And so I think the future, a lot of different ways we can use this technology, but increasingly we're seeing coaches and players.
Perfect.
Really
all right. And where can our viewers go for more information?
IBM.com/sports is a great source of information about all this.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Can't wait to watch the US Open, and we can see all this tech in action. Thank you so much, Noah, and we'll be right back right after this.